because we are ready to get started. So you've seen the picture of the little boy there, and I hope we don't have any real ones happen like this, but life is just like that. So this year, let me grab my notes. So this year things are different, and this is my Thanksgiving table. Change is okay, and laugh when you can. So this year at Thanksgiving, my oldest daughter didn't get to come from Michigan. They had a COVID exposure, and so she had been crying that morning. I had been crying that morning, and so when we got ready to sit down at lunch, which was the day after Thanksgiving, we just drew their faces on a paper plate and stuck it on the end of the table, and we did a video call and talked to them and showed them how they were truly there, and everybody laughed, and it made that go a lot better. So many things this year are a little bit different. And yes, I'm sorry, we did tell you a big fat lie when we titled this Chaos-Free Holiday Meal Planning or Preparation, because there is no such thing. Okay, and I have not started. You all give me just a second. You know, I forgot one of the most important things there is let's turn that recording on. All right. Okay. So things are different this year. They may be different because of COVID. They may be different because of so many other things. There's a lot of turmoil going on in our world right now. So we hope to share some tips with you today, and that Casey Wiley and Mary Higginbotham and I will be sharing some personal tips from our own life that might work for you. But remember, every family is different. Families celebrate different things in different ways. So what are some tips that might help make it a little less chaotic? Well, if you can share some of the responsibilities, that can help make the meal preparation go better. And this is actually a tip. We've done this at my house for several years. It works really well with adult children, but I learned this tip from Janice Collins, who was the area nutrition agent out at Quicksand back in the 80s. So she didn't use Post-it notes on the refrigerator like I do, but instead of having to be the one that remembers what needs to be done and when it needs to be done, the tasks are just listed there, and people can choose what they want to do, pull the Post-it note down and throw it away. And I know when all the Post-it notes are gone off the refrigerator, that means that everything's done. And I also try to include some tasks there to suit a lot of our family. So I always put make banana pudding as one of the tasks. And it's always my father-in-law who chooses that task. So he is 87, and he remembers growing up that his mother always made banana pudding, and she put it in a blue melamine bowl. So if I can ever find one of those, I'm going to get that so that he can make that. So I make the pudding for him, but he does the assembly. He feels like he is part of the meal, and he enjoys the memory of that, and we enjoy the banana pudding. You can do some different things to take turns to help out with meal preparation. And if you have a system, it means that you don't continually have to be the referee, you know, and it means that you don't have to continually remember whose turn is it. So some tips that I learned from other parents that I tried with my kids when they were growing up that worked pretty well was to have, when is it your day, or a kid of the day. So if you have 2 kids, then you can divide it by even and odd on the calendar. So odd number days would be one child's day, and even number days would be another one. And be sure to include chores and privileges. So even if you just do this kind of thing during the holiday to sort of help ease things up, you might think it might work for your family throughout the rest of the year. And make sure there are good and not so good things. For our girls, if it was their day, they set the table but they also got to have the best seat in the car. And you know, no matter what kind of car you're in, there's always one best seat. Even if all the seats are exactly the same, there's always one that's best. And so if it's their day, they got to sit in the best seat in the car. They also had to set the table, but they got to choose maybe some music that we would listen to during dinner. You can write some ideas on a popsicle stick and put them in a jar. I mean, the different chores, and have not just kids, have everyone that's there pull out a stick and do the task that's on there. And I'm going to turn it over to Casey now. She's going to share some ideas from her family with us. Casey, I'll do your slides when you tell me to.
Okay, thanks, Martha. So, like Martha said, there is no such thing as a chaos-free holiday. I have learned that. My oldest is 15 now, and my little one is 6. If you want to go to that first slide, Martha. This is Emma when she was probably in 4th grade. Now, she is now 15, but I had these pictures on my computer here at the office, and she is making cookies. And so one of the things that helps us save time sometimes is buying, you can see that cookie dough right there. That is the already refrigerated, already made sugar cookie dough. And, you know, sometimes in a quick pinch, you just need to get those cookies done. And this is a great way to make that happen pretty fast. You know, making them from scratch is great. And we do that when we can. Some years, there's just not time for that. And so that's a great quick way to do some sugar cookies. You know, I like to keep a roll or two of that in the fridge just during the holidays because you can pull them out pretty quickly and do something fun with those. And I always have a container of my cookie cutters that stays with the Christmas stuff, so I always know where those cookie cutters are at. Sometimes you go to look for those things and what happened to them and where do they go? So I always like to keep that with my Christmas stuff. That way when it comes out, I know where they're at. Something else. Now this isn't my ideal. I stole this from a blog that I follow, but it has really helped. It is a notebook. And this one says Christmas 2020. And underneath of it, this is kind of the motto that I've tried to take on for this year. It says, choose to be present. And the next slide, Martha, if you want to go to it, it's kind of how I'm feeling about this year. But this little notebook has kept me kind of focused. You know, sometimes we just need that place to have a mental brain dump. And I've got it labeled. There's coupons, Christmas gifts, and recipes. This is nothing fancy by any means. Then the inside, it's got all of our meals that we're gonna need, a menu list. So as, you know, I pick up a little something from the grocery store, I can go on and check that ingredient off. So this has kind of helped me just to think about all those things instead of thinking about them as I'm doing them. If I go on and just get everything out of my brain onto one area, then I know anything holiday related is going to be in this notebook. If it's something I need to write down, I can go on and put it in there. So that is something else that has helped. And I also in here wrote down, I mean, my kids are 15 and 6, which is a pretty big age difference, some fun things that we could do together as a family. So if they're like, I'm bored, I need something to do, we can come to our fun list and maybe we can go look at Christmas tree lights and we can build gingerbread houses, or we can make some reindeer food. So just some quick little kind of boredom busters or fun ideas that we can do together. Another thing, I remember somebody in the comments said something about they had a sink full of dishes. I don't do real dishes on Christmas Eve anymore. When we have that's when I host, my family is on Christmas Eve. We started using paper plates and everything. And I'm a recycler at home. We use cloth napkins all year long. But on Christmas Eve, I want everybody to be able to take it easy and enjoy and not have to fool with a bunch of dirty dishes. We just throw it in the trash and forget it and move on to our next task. So we have gone to the tradition of paper plates at our house, and that just works for my family. You know, and everybody is different, and that's one thing that I have learned that makes things a little easier for us. So, you know, I'm a planner. I like to write things down. If you're not a planner, you have to do what works for you. But I just like seeing everything in writing, old school, pen and paper, and you know, that's what I have found that has helped reduce some of the stress and chaos for us. That's is there anything else I needed to talk about, Martha?
No, that's good. And
Good.
if people have more questions for you later.
No, we're not perfect by any means, but you know, we try to make the best of it. And as my little one who's 6, who's you know, kids are smarter than us sometimes, keeps telling me that Christmas is not about all the stuff; it's about spending time together as a family. So
that is great that they see that. And our goal for all of you watching today, that Casey and Mary and I have, is just, you know, for you to see that there's no such thing as a perfect anything anyway. So however you do it, however works for you is great. All right, and Casey, if people have some more questions for you, you'll come right back.
Yes, just let me know.
Okay, so something that you might, you know, if you've always done things the same way, but it's really adding to your stress, then maybe try something new. So I told you that my family, we didn't have our big dinner until the day after Thanksgiving, because that's when the other kids could come. And so on Thanksgiving Day, we did a holiday meal on the grill. And so I'm going to show you this little stuffed turkey roll. So it's just sliced turkey, which can be from the deli or off of a real turkey. It's a box of stuffing mix that you just add the water to. You just put the stuffing mix in a bowl and add the right amount of cold water to it. And let's see if this little video will work, and I'll show you how quick and easy this is to put together. So you just put the slice of turkey down on a square of foil. You're going to scoop in the stuffing part. And, you know, I didn't add the other, it called for some butter and some other things, but I didn't add that in. Roll them up in foil and then just twist the ends like you would a piece of candy. And then just keep doing that for however many you want. And then on the grill, I did along the back, you can see the turkey stuffing rolls, and then the plated up Kentucky Proud grilled sweet potatoes. That's there. And on the right-hand side of the screen, those are the little veggie bundles that I shared back in the summer at the Thrill of the Grill video. And in your resource packet, if you registered on KERS for this, you're going to get a resource packet at the end, and it will contain those recipes, the grilled sweet potatoes, and the grilled veggie bundles. And I didn't do a mixture of veggies in this one. I only did broccoli. And so here was technically on Thanksgiving, here was our Thanksgiving dinner. So the turkey and dressing rolls just really have to get warm in the middle. And the sweet potatoes, there's this delicious glaze that goes with those sweet potatoes, but I never get around to making it. And then I like them just plain. And then the broccoli that was done in foil on the grill. And so all of that was cooked on the grill and eaten off of paper plates. And that was a good Thanksgiving. And now my next one, let me click that on. And I'm going to show you how quick and easy this one is to put together. So this is actually my mother's recipe. And it was a way, I know it was a way that she took those last few leftovers and put them together in a way to stretch that to make a meal for our family of 6. And now I did change her recipe a little bit, because most of my mother's recipes start out with take 2 sticks of butter, and so I did trim that down a little bit. And let me get back over in front of the camera. Let me stop sharing, and I'll show you how quick and easy this one is to put together. Okay, if you can't see my table setup, if you'll go to that and click the little 3 dots up in the upper corner and say pin video, and I'm going to do that too for the recording. And then we'll be able to see that a little bit bigger. Okay. All right, so this is a really quick and easy recipe to put together. So we're going to start out with 2 cups of cooked shredded chicken. Now you could do this with leftover turkey too, so it's a perfect after the holiday. It's also good if you've got a little bit of cooked turkey left over, cooked chicken left over, or even a rotisserie chicken that came from the store, and maybe you've had a meal out of that and there's enough to pick off the bones to end up with 2 cups of cooked chicken or turkey meat. And then I know that she did this to sort of stretch those leftovers. So this is 2 cups of crumbled up cornbread, and that can either be leftover or maybe you did cook it on purpose. But when we have soup beans and cornbread around the holidays, I always bake an extra large pan so that I can put some of the cornbread in the freezer and be ready to go on dishes like this. And then 1 cup of leftover crumbled up biscuits. So you can tell this one is a Southern recipe. My husband really wasn't familiar with recipes that would have leftover biscuits in them or leftover cornbread. And then we're going to add some, a 1/2 cup of chopped celery and a 1/2 cup of chopped onion, which makes everything taste wonderful. And our seasoning is a teaspoon of sage. So this is rubbed sage, ground sage. You might want to start out with a 1/2 teaspoon and see if you want to add a little bit more to it. And then our liquid ingredients in this are 2 cups of reduced sodium chicken broth. And that can be out of a container, or if you are stewing your own chicken, just reserve some of that broth. 1/4 cup of 1% milk, 3 beaten eggs, and Mary or Casey, if I need to change something or if I need to speak up, just let me know, please. And 3 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. Now doing it that way will get us down under those dietary guidelines. Like all the NEP recipes, we promote following the dietary guidelines for Americans. We're going to stir this up, and it's going to make a very loose mixture. So it's going to be very, very wet. But that's all it takes to stir it up. And now at this point, I could put it into a 13x9 baking pan, but instead I'm going to put it into 2 foil loaf pans. Let me rearrange here just a minute. And we're going to spray those with a little bit of cooking spray. And then we'll pour the mixture in. And it won't quite fill the pans, but it's going to get very close. So I'm going to stir that a little bit more. Get 1/2 of it in one and 1/2 of it in the other. Make it a little more even. And then this is going to go in the oven at 400 degrees. And if you're baking a full-sized pan, it's going to take 45 to 60 minutes. And then if you're doing these 2 smaller pans like I have, then you can cut that back by about 10 minutes, but you want it to be set and you want it to be a little brown on the top. And then when that comes out, it's going to look like this one. Now, one good thing about putting it into 2 foil pans, I have another tip to share with you. If you have family members that live in your town, but you're not going to be able to get together, you can fix a Thanksgiving dinner tray to leave on their porch. And so I put the chicken and dressing bake. And if you remember, one of our very favorite NEP recipes is that chocolate pumpkin snack cake. Do you remember that? It's just a box of dry cake mix and a can of plain pumpkin, but you don't add anything else. You don't add the eggs, the oil, or the water that the recipe calls for. You stir that up and be patient because it is a thick mixture and it'll take a little bit of time to get it in there. And so I divided the mixture up into 3 small loaf pans, little foil loaf pans. And to dress this up a little bit, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of powdered sugar on the top. It's more like a coffee cake maybe, and not quite as sweet as a cake. And to make it look a little bit more festive, I'm going to put it in a little clear plastic treat bag and tie that up on the end. And then on this tray, I've included what you might need for a family of 1 or 2 to have for a holiday meal. So there is our half recipe of the chicken and dressing bake. There's a can of green beans, a can of cranberry sauce. There is the pumpkin snack cake for dessert, and I use a spice cake mix in it. I really like that too. It tastes like fall. And then this is just a couple of bottles of a cranberry orange juice fizzy drink, not a carbonated soda, but a fizzy juice drink that's non-alcoholic. And so you have a whole meal on this tray for 1 or 2 people, and you can drop that off on the porch. You would want to wrap up your chicken and dressing bake. All right, well, I'm going to trade off to Mary. If you give me just a minute, I'll step around and we'll get Mary's slides up here. Share screen. And I really appreciate Mary being here today, even though she is not, she's not feeling the best. But Mary, I'm going to go on to your next slide.
Okay, can you all hear me okay, Martha?
Yes, you sound good.
Okay, great. Well, good afternoon. I hope everybody is staying safe and healthy this holiday season. As Martha said, I am a little under the weather, so I'm hoping I can make it through the next few slides without coughing. So if that starts, I apologize. So as Martha said earlier, when we talked about doing this training and we said it was going to be a chaos-free holiday meal prep, I immediately thought to myself, well, the holidays are always chaos. At least they seem like they are for my family. I don't know how it is for your all's families. So I thought I would share just a few tips that I have learned that work for my family whenever we do our Christmas holiday together. So just a little bit of background. About 4 or 5 years ago, my husband and I, our home became the hub for my family's holidays. So we have family that comes in from Florida, from Tennessee. My younger brother comes from Lexington. We now have family in Texas that travels in. And so while it's not a huge group, everybody that you see in this picture on the slide, everybody comes to my house for Christmas. And when I say comes to my house for Christmas, it's not like a Christmas day and we have one meal and then everybody leaves. I think the first year we did this, we had family here for like 2 weeks, like overnight stays for 2 weeks. So all those people, there's a couple of dogs in the pictures. There's a couple of dogs missing. So we probably had 4 or 5 dogs in addition to all those people in my house for at least a week or 2 over the holidays. So when I say it was chaos, it was chaos. So that first year, I thought, oh my gosh, it's my first year hosting my entire family. Everything has to be perfect. And I have to do all of this grocery shopping and all of this food prep and everything needs to be perfect for everybody that comes in town. And I'll tell you what happened. I ended up sick. I was overwhelmed and stressed and sick just days before everybody came in because I was trying to do all the things all on my own. So I'm sharing a few tips from my perspective of hosting and how to get through that while thinking of your mental and physical health and emotional health. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so a few tips. Obviously, the first one, plan ahead. I love Casey's idea of having the notebook. I also have a notebook where I write everything down. I write our menu down. I write what we're going to have for snacks. I plan everything out. So I always start with what are our holiday favorites that we absolutely want to have? You know, what are those dishes that we have every year? We always have like corn pudding and green bean casserole, just the staples that we want to have every year. So really having a plan in mind is definitely where I start with planning our holiday. Next. The next thing is to just keep it simple. And whenever I put this tip in there, I was thinking, you know, of myself, and that I am not Martha Stewart or Paula Deen or anybody else who can whip up 25 delicious different home cooked side dishes, you know, at the snap of their fingers. So we keep it very simple. We do one meat dish, and then we have 2 or 3 vegetable sides, maybe a tossed salad, and we just keep it very, very simple and just focus on a few dishes that everybody loves instead of trying to have all the dishes that everybody wants to have. We just try to keep it very simple. We do a fried turkey, green bean casserole, corn pudding, mashed potatoes, some rolls, and then a dessert. So very, very simple. So it doesn't have to be overwhelming. You don't have to have all of the things. Next, I delegate. My entire family gets a text message or email from me weeks before Christmas of what they are bringing or what they are in charge of. The first year I did not do this, and again, it did not end in my favor. So from that point on, everybody has a responsibility and everybody is assigned. Even if they're traveling in from, like I said, Texas or Florida, once they get here, they can easily do a grocery run and get the ingredients that they need for their dish or whatever they're assigned to bring. Next. So the other thing that I learned was, as we all know, holidays are very, very expensive time of the year. You're trying to buy gifts, and if you're purchasing food for hosting family dinners, things like that, it just can be very financially overwhelming. So I try to break up our purchases. So probably starting in November, I start buying all the things that we're going to need for our holiday foods. So each weekly grocery trip, I add a few things that I'll need that will keep until our Christmas holiday dinner. And that way I'm avoiding just that huge one-time large expense that can be very overwhelming. So if you purchase it, you know, just a few things each week over the course of a month or two, it's just going to be much, much easier on you and your check account. Okay, next slide. The other thing that we do is we plan one main large meal, usually on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. It's whenever we have our big home cooked meal. And other than that, we do really healthy, light snacks. You know, we realized that after having a large meal, most people aren't in the mood for something really heavy or large the next few days after that. So in order to prep for that, you know, a week or so before Christmas, I start gathering just some things that we're going to have in the fridge that people can just snack on as they're here and you know, at their own convenience. We always have homemade pimento cheese and crackers. That's one of my little brother's favorite. And he is always adamant that I need to make it homemade and not buy it. We always do fresh veggies and dip. So I just go ahead and cut up some, you know, carrots and celery and broccoli, and we just bag that up and have it in the fridge. Easy chips and salsa, fresh fruit. We also always do a big pot of soup and then just have tossed salad in the fridge. Again, this just makes for easy, quick things to grab as people are in and out. You know, if one night for dinner we're not really that hungry, but everybody just wants a snack, we'll just get all the stuff out, put it out on the kitchen island, and people snack as they want. It's much, much easier to do that than planning several large, heavy meals for several days that probably people are not going to eat anyways. And that is my youngest son, Tate, helping me with food prep. He's chopping some vegetables. Okay, the next tip that I have is minimize sweets and desserts. And I don't know if this is the case in everybody's family, but I have realized over the years that we make lots and lots of different desserts, I end up throwing a lot of them away when everybody leaves. So we have learned to just stick with our favorite, maybe 2 to 3 things. We have somebody that brings in pies every year for Christmas. That's their contribution or what they're assigned to do. And then we always make these little cornflake Christmas wreaths. You can see my 2 kids, that's my youngest, Tate and Parker, helping make those for the holiday season. And I put a little note up here pointing to Parker that he obviously loves to help in the kitchen. You can tell by his face, he's just having a great time. So based on, Parker's face in the last slide and how he definitely does not love to help in the kitchen, I do still try to involve everybody in the family. So one thing that I do now is for my kids, I make it fun. I have 2 boys that are 12 and 9, and, they don't love to help me bake cookies and do that kind of stuff. So during the Christmas break, whenever they ask if they can have friends over, I say, sure, you can have friends over. And before you play video games, we're going to prep this food and we're going to make cookies and we're going to do this stuff. And if their friends are there, they just seem to get into it a little more and have fun. And we just have a really good time with it. We have some neighbor kids that are like family to us. So they come in and they get put to work as well. And then this other picture is my youngest son making banana bread with my mom. And so, my mom told me a long time ago when my kids were little that making messes equals making memories. And so we just really try to get everybody in the kitchen and involved and hands-on with all of the food prep and everything that we do for the holidays. Okay, I think that was the end of mine. Does anybody have any questions?
Those are such great ideas. And again, I still can't see the chat box. So Casey, we're counting on you if there are things in the chat box. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna come back around and share a few more tips with you, because if your to-do list looks like that with the everything, you're probably not enjoying the holidays as much as maybe you could. So if there are some things, lower your standards. And who set those standards for you anyway? Probably you set them yourself. So you can give yourself a little bit of slack and do the paper plates like Casey said, or let everybody contribute like Mary said. I don't know that I could imagine having 20-something people in my house for 2 weeks around a holiday. And I think that the tips that Mary shared with us were fabulous. I've got a few more of when my girls were younger to share with you. Plan ahead when you can. Now we know that's not always possible, but there are different ways to plan ahead. I have a notebook too, and I found out that when I did the 2016 Thanksgiving menu, that the 2017 menu looked exactly like it. So I just marked out 2016 and put 2017, and I've done 2018, 2019, and 2020. One thing that's different for us is that I'm the one that wants all those different side dishes. But we have a fairly small group here since most of our family lives out of state, and we usually have 9 or 10 people at the most. But my oldest daughter wants sweet potato casserole, and my middle daughter wants mashed potatoes, and my youngest daughter wants hash brown casserole. And then my mother-in-law really likes broccoli casserole, and then they're all the dishes that the 9 of us want. And so since I don't want to waste food, what I found out with many of those casseroles is at Thanksgiving, or even the week before Thanksgiving, because I get a head start on them, a lot of those freeze really well. And so I go ahead and make the sweet potato casserole recipe, but I divide it into 2 dishes. And we have one at Thanksgiving, and the other one is wrapped up and in my freezer right now, ready for Christmas. So I do that with the sweet potato casserole. I do that with the hash brown casserole. I do that with the broccoli casserole. I do it with my cornbread dressing, because we also have stuffing. We're trying to do the things people like without wasting a lot of food. And so right now in my freezer, I already have probably half of Christmas dinner prepared and in there ready to cook. Another way to do some menu planning. This is one that worked, and I can't remember where I found this idea, but it was not original. I got it from somebody else. But when my girls were younger, my oldest is going to be 30 on Friday, so this is from some time back. We sat down at the table one day and we wrote down the meals that we liked, and we have a whole bunch of cards. I have a whole stack of them. Of course, I put in the bulk of them. And then every week we would sit down as a family and everyone would choose one card, one supper. And since they had planned a lot of them, then that cut down, it didn't eliminate, but it cut down on the complaining when we had those meals. And so this is a baseball card sleeve. You know, if you know anybody that collects baseball cards, that's what this is. And so we would each pick out a supper meal, and then I would fill in the rest of the holes. We put them in, and then if you flip it over on the back, there's my grocery list. So I could just take this with me to the grocery store. I know you can't see it on the camera, but I have the groceries written on the back of those menus so that then I have my grocery store. And instead of trying to decide on Monday we're having this and Tuesday we're having that, I would buy the groceries for the week, and then we would just choose a meal, this one, and the girls decorated them, so they did the artwork on there. So then when we prepared that meal, we would take it out of the sleeve, put it back in the box, and I knew when I got down to only one card left, that was what we had to have for dinner, and it was time to plan again, go shopping again, and start it all over. We did have to institute a family rule, though, that we were only allowed to have hot dogs one night a week, because one of my daughters would have happily eaten hot dogs every single day of the week. And we had another family policy that our meals needed to contain a green food. So broccoli, peas, green beans, some kind of green food, but we did say no, green Skittles don't count. It did have to be a different kind of green food. But this worked great for us for many years, and I think I'm going to pull that out again now that it's just me and Jim at home, because the hardest part of cooking a lot of times is deciding what you're going to make. But you might try that if it would work for you. Some other things that you could do is to plan ahead or to work ahead is to let your appliances work for you. I love my slow cooker. I have multiple ones. Some days I have them all going. And like Mary said, a soup meal would be great. If you're having that one big meal, then balance it out with some other lighter meals around that. Everybody will be happier, they'll feel better, and it makes it a little bit easier on whoever's hosting. But use those slow cookers and do the soups in there so that the prep is very easy and it's ready when people are ready to eat it. Then try to have a backup plan when you can't plan ahead. Sometimes that is running to pick up a bucket of chicken or a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store and then adding some side dishes. But try to have a backup plan in mind already for, you know, it's going to come up at some point that your plans get changed and you can't finish out what you were planning to do. So look around at what is in your community, and I encourage you to support your local restaurants and stores because they are really struggling this time with all that's going on right now. So support them when you can. It will help save you some time, and it will help them keep their doors open. And sometimes you can make the meal prep itself an event. Maybe make your own pizzas or have a baked potato bar so that all you need to do is bake the potatoes. And that might be a great thing for different people to bring different toppings in for that. Or do those foil pouch dinners on the grill where you just set out what you have, let everybody put the meat and the vegetables in a foil packet and cook that on the grill. So if you can turn the meal prep itself into an event, then that kills two birds with one stone. Try to keep some instant appetizers in mind. One of the easiest ones, I learned this from Kay Holbrook, which is just about an instant appetizer. You take a block of reduced fat cream cheese, you put it on the middle of a plate, and you pour, my favorite combination is orange marmalade and whole berry cranberry sauce, and serve that with crackers. So if you're running a little bit behind on the meal, you want to have something for people to eat and quiet the grumbling tummies while they're waiting. And so if you have some instant appetizers in the back of your head, like Mary said, they have the cut up raw vegetables in the refrigerator already. So put that on a plate with some low-fat ranch, and you've got a great healthy appetizer. And that's a great way too, if your meals are a little bit heavier, then try to make your appetizers and your snacks be a little bit lighter. And there are also instant desserts that are not quite so healthy, but a banana split is about as instant as you can get. It's a lot of fun to put that together, and all you have to do is set the things out on the counter and let everyone fix their own. You might keep a store-bought angel food cake on hand and put some sliced fruit and a little bit of whipped topping on that. It makes a very nice dessert, but it's very quick and easy too. Okay, let me see if that about gets us to the end. I'm going to step back around where I can run the slides. Okay, so does anybody have any? I'll try to get where I can see the chat box again. But if you have any questions, remember that you can go to, I'm going to go ahead to the next slide. Remember that you can go to planeatmove.com and find lots of healthy recipes. If you're sort of stuck in a rut, then that's a great place to find. Oh, maybe I can get to the chat box now where I can see it. Okay, we'll go back up and check the card. So Raven, tell me more what you mean. The menu cards in the baseball thing. We didn't have a template. We just cut down index cards so that they would fit in there. And the girls,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, that's what I was talking about. I didn't know if you had a template or how you did those. I missed that part.
No, I just took index cards, or you can just take pieces of paper.
Okay.
So I'll try to get this close enough for you to see. This is one that my hot dog loving daughter did, and she just wrote it and then drew the decorations on it. And then I just flipped them over on the back and just scribbled down my grocery list. You could do something that would be so much fancier than what I have, but this worked for us at the time. Okay. Oh, and Cheryl said the cream cheese orange marmalade. There's not really a recipe for that. What Kay Holbrook taught me was you put the block of cream cheese out, and then you look in your refrigerator and you see what you have. Pepper jelly is great to pour over, but just orange marmalade works well too. It makes a sweet and tangy appetizer, and if you put that on a cracker, there's that little bit of salt. So it's another no recipe too.
Martha, we do that. This is Mary. We do that as well. We always have the cream cheese in the fridge, and we like to serve it with a raspberry jalapeno jelly. So yeah, but you're right. Any type of jelly that you want to spread over it, or jam or fruit spread is perfect.
And it's so quick and easy. Okay, I can't get where I can handle the computer and the camera at the same time. So, all right, well, I'm going to go on to the next screen so that you can see our contact information. If you have questions directly for any of us, Mary Higginbotham, Casey Wiley, and I would be glad to talk to you some more. We're gonna finish this up with a little video clip, and since it is copyrighted material, I'm going to stop recording